Um, Setting a problem motivation, which consists of three parts: refuge field, what to visualize and how to visualize. Visualize Buddha Shakyamuni and all His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all the enlightened beings, who you consider as a source of blessing for you, who you consider as a source of inspiration for the practice of compassion, and how you visualize them. Imagine they're like your very affectionate parents, and you come home demoralized, and your parents are waiting there to give full love, affection, attention, so forth. And the Bodhicitta field, the fact that what we're doing, the class that we're going to have here is on Bodhicitta, and the Bodhicitta field, the object on the basis of which you generate unconditional love, the wisest, the most, the embracing feeling of love and affection towards others. Visualize your two parents on the two sides, and all your dear mother sentient beings, your family members, including your children. And here you're the mother, and all others are like children. And imagine they come home demoralized, and you're there to give full love, affection, attention, and so forth. And number three, the purpose of this practice, the purpose of this class and the practice is to discover ultimate treasure of happiness within us. This treasure, while it is there, why we don't experience this treasure, the presence of this treasure, is because this treasure is obscured by the metal stains. Just as when the gold is obscured, or when the gold is mixed with the soil, the gold inside does not glow. As you remove the soil, slowly the gold inside will start to glow. The more you remove the soil, the more the gold inside will glow. Likewise, the more that we eradicate the metal defilements, more the treasure inside us, also referred to as the Tathagata Garabha, or the ultimate treasure of happiness, that shines out of or glows and becomes unraveled, to the extent that your mind becomes like a sun, where no stain, no obstacle can stop it, obscure it, and that this sun illuminates every atom of the universe. Likewise, you achieve that quality whereby you're able to benefit all human sentient beings. Okay, now for this, what we need to keep in mind is that the defilements inside us, it is of two kinds. One is very gross and is subtle, and in other words, in a very simple form, the defilements which stop us from experiencing the greatest happiness is two kinds. One is the cognitive distortion, like when you're in dark, you don't see the reality around, and because of which, you don't enjoy, not only you don't enjoy what is around you, you have tremendous fear and apprehension, as what could be there around me. There could be a snake there, there could be some animals there could be some the thieves there, burglars there. There's so much of fear coming because of this darkness, because of the ignorance. So likewise, within us there is the range of ignorance, which is responsible for creating all the fears in our life. Then on the other hand, we have what is known as the mental attitude, which pushes away all others, which pushes all others away from you. That is a self-centered attitude. The more self-centered we are, we tend to push others more away from us. The more you push others away from you, the more you become lonely, the more you feel vulnerable. So this is how we see that the self-centered attitude is one which just deprives us of the happiness, the joy, infinite joy that we can otherwise experience without this. And then this ignorance is one which is responsible for creating and trying all the miseries and the fears. So to summarize this, the metal stain of the ignorance, to eradicate that, it is only through introducing the light of the wisdom. So the wisdom which we study is a part of the Narada Master's course, which also we are going to study as a part of the diploma course. 1 year diploma course here in Tibet House, which to be launched, is already launched, but going to be started very soon in May, and then the full-fledged teachings will happen from August. And then the other side, which is self-centered attitude, which pushes others away from you, and thus making you the lonely, making you vulnerable, because the more you push others away from you, the more the others will become your enemies. The more others become your enemies, you have to live in fear, you have to live in vulnerability. So this is all because of this self-centered attitude. So on the contrary, we are totally under the ignorance, under the illusion that the more we push others away from us, the more I'll be helping. In actuality, it is opposite. So the point is to get rid of this self-centered attitude. How to get rid of self-centered attitude? The most effective way is by cultivating a feeling of attracting others towards you, that is, feeling of love and affection. And the most refined version of the feeling of love and affection is the bodhicitta. So this is what we're going to study. So for one to practice this, only if we practice it, for example, the command of the language. So all of us here, you speak English, and how we gain this command of the language is because we practice over the last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and so forth. Likewise, the bodhicitta, although as of now, at the moment, our mind is totally being under the sway of the self-centered attitude, and thus we are so unhappy, vulnerable. And now we need to revolutionize their thinking by eradicating this self-centered attitude, by instilling in the counterforce of this. And the counterforce is unconditional love towards others, the supreme of which is bodhicitta, the altruism to take the responsibility of freeing others, this taking the responsibility on yourself by achieving the total manifestation of Buddhahood within yourself. So this is our goal. With that in mind, imagine that you are leading this, you are inspiring all other sentient beings, and all the human sentient beings, they have to join you, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are watching us with the tremendous pride and happiness. Okay, with that in mind, let's turn to page 3. And here's by great compassion, you taught them immaculate dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And here's by great compassion, you taught the immaculate dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And here's by great compassion, I pay homage. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no rising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, one who taught this peace which is afraid of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all these hearers seeking pacification and complete peace, who through the knowledge of past causes those having migrated to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of nations helps the doers expound a variety of teachings, the one who is transformed into the reliable guide. All sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, and protector to you are my prostrations, the one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations, and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays. To you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanye Jula Zoge Jonam La Chanju Bardo La Negas Tola Benjir Sanje Rubarayisho Sanje Jodam Sonamye Dola Benjir Sanje Rubarayisho Sanje Jodam Soge Jodam Na Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyatso Dage Jinso Yebe Sonamye Dola Benjir Sanje Rubarayisho. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I chant the mindful awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Teshan Tathagato Yavatat Teshan Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhati Mahashramanaye Svaha. Om Ye Karma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Teshan Tathagato Yavatat Teshan Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhati Mahashramanaye Svaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Teshan Tathagato Yavatat Teshan Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhati Mahashramanaye Svaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-eyed, and non-composite. Such is an actual like Dharma discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I return to the words. Beyond utterance, thought expression, and professional wisdom, which is unborn, unseasoned as the nature of space, is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddha, so that 3 times I be obeisance. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of all. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of expansive billions and eons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of such that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries to glow. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, the Heart Sutra Mantra, page 31, Heart Sutra Mantra. And as we recite this mantra, you can recite this mantra at any time. So particularly, say, when you go to different places, new places, by aeroplane, by train, by cars, you see new places, and at times we get a feeling that, okay, these places are so remote, and these people, did they really see the outside world? More important than them seeing the outside world is, did they really hear about the teaching of compassion, the teaching on waking up from the sleep of ignorance? So, out of compassion, you recite this mantra for them, recite this mantra for them. Imagine that you, and for example, from the aeroplane, looking down, you see the whole, like, under your review, there must be like millions of people underneath. So pray for them, recite this mantra, and mentally talk to them. Take this teaching Otherwise, you are deprived of this teaching of the incredibly enlightened being, the one who taught how to wake up from the state of ignorance so that you be freed from the nightmare of samsara, and how to expand your feeling of love and affection, starting from your parents, starting from yourself, your parents, then your family members, and then towards by expanding the circle of love and affection towards others. So how to make your own happiness expand. So that's the mental talk to them, and say this mantra for them, and imagine that they take this teaching with them, and then their mental, say the mental stains are being cleansed by practicing what you have taught, and then they experience the bounties of happiness eternal. Okay, this is what we're going to visualize. And meanwhile, imagine that you are leading this, and all sentient beings, they are happily joining you in this journey of cleansing the mind to become fully awakened one, so that they are going to be least affected by the dream of the created by the ignorance. Okay. Om Gati Gati Paragati Arasangati Bodhiswaha Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati 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 Bodhiswaha. Okay. In Dhammappada, what the Buddha said is that although you have a brilliant eyes, but without light, you cannot see what is around you. Likewise, although you have a brilliant mind, but without the knowledge, you will not know how to adopt the good practices, how to discard bad practices. Okay, this is what the Buddha indicates. This is so precious, and it is on this basis that the Buddha was always emphasizing on the need for us to maintain the light of the open-mindedness, so that you reap the maximum benefit. This is so important. You reap the maximum benefit. And of course, some people who either for two reasons. One, the person may be gifted, born with the natural gift of compassion, who are more compassionate by nature since childhood. Say the child as young as like 2 years old, 3 years old, is so keen to share what a person has, so keen to share rather than grab everything yourself. And whereas in most cases, unfortunately, is the opposite, right? And like maybe 2 months ago, maybe a little over closer to 2 months ago, one of my nieces and her 2 children came to see me, and the son and the daughter. The daughter was, I think, age 7 or 8, and the son might be age 3. Wow, I don't know where he brought this trait from, his son. I gave them the chocolate equally, and I don't know who ate what. Then finally, the 2 chocolates are there. Then the daughter was trying, the elder one, the daughter was to pick up the bigger one, and the younger one was fighting to the nail, fighting with his sister to get the bigger one. Finally, he got the bigger one, right? Bigger one. The mother scolded the sister, she being older. So he got a bigger one. After getting the bigger one, he felt safe. Now I got a bigger one. Now he was trying to console the sister, caressing the sister's face, saying that it should be all right, don't worry. I was so amazed. This strategy, where did this child learn from? Where did he learn from? For sure from the past life. He's not a young boy, not an age 2 years old boy. Must be from the past life. Strategy, getting everything, and then the other person suffers, and then you console the person. This even I cannot think it. At this age, at this young boy, he already got it from the past life. So likewise, there are people who are born with a natural gift of compassion, who only knows how to share. As a very young girl, as a very young boy, age 2, 3, sharing whatever one gets, sharing this amazing gift. Okay, but in most cases, because the people, they try to abuse others, even the young children, they try to bully each other and so forth. So people, they start defending themselves. They feel themselves vulnerable, defending themselves. So for that matter, the point is that are these defending yourself in ways of being self-centered, self-cherishing, does it really give rise to happiness? This question. So but you say to defend yourself by resorting to a means without learning, which is more naturally gifted, is oftentimes a self-centered attitude. Self-centered attitude. So then you immediately resort to self-centered attitude to defend yourself. Whereas on the contrary, the question is, does it really give rise to happiness which you intend to achieve this question? So this is a very serious question. And so therefore, those people who are gifted, naturally gifted with compassion, when you speak about, okay, finally, you have to do things to make yourself happy. When you say this, some of you who are gifted with compassion may think that, oh, this is, again, although it's about Mahayana teaching, compassion teaching, but again, at the root, there is a self-centered attitude for your happiness. It gives you maximum happiness. Okay, if this is what is coming to your mind, I would suggest you to bear with us a little bit, for the time being. Eventually, you will come to realize it's amazing, right? It's a great strategy, and great, the process of thinking that eventually takes to the same point that I should be cherishing others. So this is for those people who are gifted with compassion. Whereas for most of us, if we say that, okay, we should cherish others, we should be compassionate towards others, you should be selfless, so forth, okay, I cannot do it, I'm sorry. So this is most of the people. So we should cater to, to all the people. So those of us who belong to this category, that if I'm to give everything to others, then who will take care of me? If this question coming to you, which means don't feel ashamed. We have to know who we are. We have to know who we are, and then from there we have to take the path, right? If we hide our own identities, not knowing who we are, or knowing ourselves, and then, oh, I'm very selfish, or then others may feel bad of me. If this is what you think, and then you You never start from where you are. If you don't start from where you are, you will never reach the destination because you don't have the ground. Without the ground, you cannot climb the steps. Because the steps, it should be started from the ground. If the ground is lost, you will never reach any further. So the point is that the people in general, we say they are of two kinds. One who are naturally gifted with compassion, and some who are more into the self-centered attitude. Even if we belong to this category, don't be afraid. This is what I'm saying. Don't feel miserable or don't feel ashamed. No worry. The point is that everything is dependent originated. Some are naturally gifted with compassion. That is also dependent originated. Some are naturally gifted with self-centered attitude. That is also dependent originated. Dependent originated means that who you are, it came to being by dependence on various factors. So, if who you are, if you don't really like it, then you check what are the factors dependent upon which that being, the nature which you dislike, came into being. Now, what are these factors? You check that and remove these factors, replace them with the favorable factors, so the outcome is going to be very different. For example, say like the stupor, right? Worn out stupor. If there is worn out stupor, oh no, so look at the stupor so beautifully installed in the another place there. The stupor that we have is the worn out, is not good. If this is worn out stupor, this is not intrinsically worn out. Even the being worn out is by dependence on many factors. What factors? On the bricks. Because this stupor comes into being by dependence on all these thousands of bricks, which put together became the stupor. So, because it came into being by dependence on the bricks, and bricks must be worn out. So, if you don't want to see the stupor worn out, you want to see the stupor glowing with shine. Then you replace these worn out bricks with the golden bricks. Remove the worn out bricks and replace them with the golden bricks. One by one. Slowly the stupor will start to glow. Right? And then after replacing this fully with golden bricks, the stupor will just brilliantly blaze with the glow. Right? So you may feel that I'm selfish, I feel shy to present myself as being very selfish, yet I cannot be cherishing the other cherishing. If this is what you are, and if you don't assent to this, if you don't agree, if you don't want to be in this state, still it is not that nothing came down. This is not true. That you have to know that even this nature is dependent originated. Dependent originated means this is because of dependence so many other factors. Perhaps in the past life, I was born in a family, I was born in a situation where everybody is so selfish that I have to defend for myself. The only way that I can see to defend myself is by being selfish the way the others are doing. Right? So it must have been for like years and years, like 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and many lifetimes like this. Okay, these are the factors. Now I have to undo this factor. What's the opposite of this factor? Introduce that opposite, the counter force, right? Okay, so this is very important. So the point is that, say, just check yourself, be very honest to yourself, and see. For example, say, okay, you come for this class, Bodhicitta class. Bodhicitta class means a class on the learning how to cultivate the unconditional love towards others. Okay, then say while you're coming, you just come down, step out of your house, and then you see there's so many ants there, and okay, what are you going to do now? You remove the ants, put them to a safe place, or okay, after Bodhicitta class, otherwise I may miss the Bodhicitta class, I'm sorry. Then you step on the ants, you kill all these ants, right? Okay, I'm going to do this. Or No. So Bodhisattva class is what? Is to learn how to practice compassion. Now this is a compassion in action, right? This is a real class here. Okay, now you spend time. It may take 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You may miss 15, 20 minutes in the class. But you read, the real classes happen there when you're doing this. So the point is, what I'm saying is that what made us who we are, you may not approve, you may not like who you are, your nature and so forth. Keep in mind that even that is dependent on origin. In other words, everything that exists in this universe, they come into being by dependent origination, by dependence on many other factors. Okay, so therefore those of us here who belong to this category with the natural gift of compassion for others, lucky. Those of us who do not have this natural gift of compassion, you're also lucky, because you get the opportunity to overcome that now. If you do not overcome this in this life, when you encounter this teaching of compassion, teaching bodhicitta, and then is next life, right? Next life, and getting such an opportunity. First of all, to learn how to practice this is very rare. Out of 7 billion human beings, how many people are actually learning about how to practice compassion, right? People talk about compassion, but compassion is very important. Never be selfish. The question arises is how? When this question is asked, many people get stuck. In fact, one point, what happened was that I was teaching the students from Emory University. That was the study abroad program. So the students from there came to Dharamsala, and I was giving the lesson. Okay. Then one of the participants of the program said that we should be compassionate. Then I was just trying to provoke. Okay, it's fine, that's very true, we should be compassionate. But the question is, how? Or the question is, why? Why? So this question cannot come. Why should I be compassionate towards others? This is not just me rhetorically saying, but this is what actually many people ask, right? Particularly in places where your survival, say in India, is much better. In the West, people have to really struggle to survive. People really have to struggle to survive. And after being in the West for like few years, particularly with the very challenging situation where you have to take care of all the bills, right? Okay. So then the question arises, you should be compassionate? They will ask why. In other words, in their mind, they feel that you're stupid to think of that. Right? So we have to struggle for our own living. If we take care of others, who will take care of my bills? This question coming to them, right? So the question is, this is a very serious question. So I was just provoking. I said, the very challenging question is, why should I be compassionate? And the person said, because of interdependency. This is what the person learned theoretically. Because of interdependency, right? Then I further said that who cares whether it's interdependent or not? As long as my happiness is taken care of, who cares of others, right? If you don't take care of others, then you are dependent, who cares? I said it. And which means a person did not have a solid ground, did not have conviction. Because at least rationally, the person should be able to convince me, finally, yes, I should be able to say this. The person could not make me say this. And the person was a little, irritated, because could not give the answer. And then told me, okay, then if the dependence not thing, if you say this, then what if the other person comes to beat you, right? Because you don't care for others, that person will come to beat you. Then I said, if the person comes to beat me, I'll run away, right? So the point is that still, it doesn't justify the reason that other person is giving, does not justify that we should be compassionate. But in actuality, the point is that we should be compassionate, not necessarily for those people who give compassion. For you is fine. Whereas those people who are not giving compassion, still for your own happiness. When you are not compassionate, means that we are more selfish. When we are more selfish means I am more concerned about my own happiness. It's fine, there's nothing wrong with this. The point is, if you really want to be more kind to yourself, if you really want more happiness for yourself, then do something which will actually give rise to happiness. What will give rise to happiness? This by cherishing others. How? Okay, for this, we need to learn the 2 steps, right? 2 methods. Okay, this is so precious. In this connection, finally, we have to, again, going back to the same point, we have to begin with the purpose of a life. What is the purpose of a life? When the Delhi University invited His Holiness the Dalai Lama to Delhi University for a public talk, I think in 2008, then at the end of the talk, a girl, during the question and answer session, a college girl stood up and asked His Holiness, what's the purpose of the life? And His Holiness, without second thought, he said, the purpose of life is a genuine happiness. He said, we live on hopes and we hope for happiness. We live on hopes. Hoping for what? Hoping for happiness. So the genuine happiness is the meaningful life. Okay, so this being the case, genuine happiness, the next is how can we achieve this question? Okay, so this is so important. And with this in mind, what I want to share with you is that, so finally, the point is we should be, particularly with the practice. So this, intellectually, I can explain this, give discourse on this for like 4 or 5 days. If I have 4 or 5 days, this complete teaching can be given on this unlikely wisdom of emptiness. Wisdom of emptiness, which requires months, years for one to even understand it intellectually. But for this bodhicitta practice, how to practice it, we can learn it within 4 or 5 days. If you are really free, we have free time to sit together for like 4 or 5 days, you'll get a complete system. But the question is that to know and to realize is very different. To know, you can know it very fast. To experience it, it takes years and years and years. This is bodhicitta, unconditional love for bodhicitta. Whereas the wisdom of emptiness is the opposite. Wisdom of emptiness is to learn, it takes time. It takes years and years. Once you learn it, to experience it is so fast. Once you learn it, this is different. So with this in mind, there are 2 methods to cultivate this bodhicitta, the wisdom of emptiness. So in other words, because that this is a sheer practice, one should be any questions you may confront with, one should be just able to ask these questions. This is very important. Okay, and so as what we said earlier, that finally we live on hopes and we hope for happiness. So what is this happiness? Where is this happiness coming from? Right? So the younger ones, the college students and the freshly graduated college students, or just finished the universities, now looking for in search for the jobs, right? So oftentimes the young ones, they think that happiness is from the job, happiness is from the money, happiness is from a stable job. Okay, so this is what they think. Yet, is it true or not? This question. Answer is, yeah, of course it is true. Of course it is true. So this is so important, right? We always tend to be unrealistic. We always tend to be unrealistic. Either when we go to, say, as I said earlier, say, oftentimes in some places where people are struggling to getting job, paying bills and so forth, paying bills. So there, if you speak about compassion, the first reaction in the mind is that you are stupid. Right? And the other extreme, people who are into this, the centers, right? The centers, those people, and luckily, and that too, if the center is very genuine center, right? Then people say, oh, happiness is inside, happiness is inside. And so like external things doesn't really matter. There's somebody there to pay your bills. But it's not true. We should be very realistic. Be very realistic. Be very realistic, right? So the external factors are there. Don't denigrate the role of the external factors. External factors are there. We have to take care of your job, so whatever. All these things we have to take care of. Make sure that we take care of these things. We are not to neglect those things, right? If you're already, if you're already born in the wealthy family and guaranteed that you don't really have to worry about it, that's fine. Otherwise, generally speaking, we have to really work. We have to really make sure that external factors are taken care of. At the same time, don't go to the extreme of saying that if you think about compassion, it is stupid. There's also another extreme. Believing that all your happiness, we live on hopes and we hope for happiness. This happiness only comes from the external material things. This is also one extreme. So the point is that we should take care of both sides. One, the external factors, one, the other, the internal factors. Both are to be taken care of, right? Okay, this is so important. So why we need to take care of both is because even the Buddha very clearly explained. Buddha said, take care of your parents, take care of your spouse, take care of the needs of your spouse and your children. This is what he very clearly stated, Buddha himself very clearly stated. So therefore, we really need to take care of the needs of yourself, your family, and so forth. This is so important. This is so important. And of course, there could be some exceptions. Some people, right? Some people, by taking one step of seeking pure spirituality, where the external needs do not really matter as much, there is an exception, right? But we should be very realistic. Who are you? This is the question. Do you belong to this category? Who can just leave everything and go to Himalaya and say you don't mind till 20 years, still you don't mind, you don't regret, you feel such a joy there. Is this who you are? Or the moment you leave your place and go to Himalaya and then you start feeling hungry, right? Okay, where is my next meal coming from? I'm feeling cold, who's going to give me blanket and shelter? Are you this category? So there we have to check, right? And in other words, we should be very realistic. Okay, with this mind, Now the point is, with external factors, with internal factors, tell me, in your life, don't dream, don't be trapped in the illusion, right? Oh, Jesus Miller did like this. Jesus Miller became enlightened, fully enlightened within one single lifetime. Of course, amazing. If you can do that, please welcome. You're most welcome. But do you really belong to this category? Because even the 5 fingers, the 5 fingers of my hand, they differ in the length. So the 7 billion human beings, their thinking is different. Their propensities are different. Okay, with this, the point is that, okay, how to cultivate this compassion. How to cultivate this compassion? We must gain conviction. We must gain conviction, right? That the first conviction that we need to gain is that happiness, whether it's external, whether it's internal, the factors, external, internal, somehow the happiness comes from where? Right? This question that we need to check. From the cheesecake? Is it from the cheesecake? Or from inside? Happiness. So we see external factors are there. External factors are there. Internal factors are there. With these factors coming together, then experience happiness in the form of resultant state. Happiness and the pain. These should be seen as the resultant state, and these resultant states come into being by depends on the causal factors. Right? Causal factors can be external, internal. But the happiness that you're experiencing is internal. Resultant state is the internal, right? Okay, let's say that the cheesecake is your favorite birthday gift. Cheesecake. And on your birthday you are sick, terribly sick. You cannot even smell of cheese, right? The moment you smell cheese, it makes you throw up. How many of you experienced that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, most of us, right? In fact, I remember myself. If I share this experience with you, you may agree with me, and it may retrieve your past experience as well. Once I was in class 3 or class 4, very young, class 4, and okay, no one person to take care of me as young boy, just along with the boys and girls. So during the winter holidays, the school took us for a picnic along a river bank in Kangra. And I did not know that I was sick. I didn't know. I was very young. I didn't know that I was sick. And someday I felt so uncomfortable. I didn't want to move my body. And imagine what the dinner was. Dinner was momos. Momos we were not getting. We get momos only twice a year. One is Tibetan New Year, and the other one is the school anniversary. Only on these two times we get momos. Otherwise, momos far away from us. And that was the momo. And we were so excited, right? Okay, those days, the moment we can think about, anticipate that momo is waiting for us, the mouth waters. Okay, then what happened? Again, from the school made it so nicely that all the school should, the young ones, aged class 3, class 4, and there for them, the cooks, the elder students, they were already hired to keep them there. For them, picnic also as a cook. Picnic and also cook for them, elder ones. Younger ones, they come and then stay for, I think, one night, then they leave the next day. The next batch comes. Elder ones, they're more permanent there. And then From distance, I could smell the momos, and it's simply so disgusting, the smell. I could not believe that this smell really threw me up, made me to throw up. No, I cannot go for this dinner. I will not have the dinner, right? I did not know that I was sick. And then all the children, they are going there, lining up for the food, for the momos, and I didn't go. I could just smell, and I couldn't go too close to the place where the momo is being served. And then what happened to me? Momo is my favorite food. But today, I don't want to even be close to that. And then I could see that along with the momos, they're getting orange. One orange. Oh, I don't mind getting the orange. I can eat the orange, but not the momos. It just stays so far away. Okay, tell me. So the momos I saw as my favorite. It makes me very happy. But that day, if somebody brings that to me, I would be very unhappy with that person. I become so unhappy to see the momo or to see the momo close by me. You're getting it? Which means the momo per se is not the happiness. It was a factor of the happiness when physiologically I'm okay. Physiologically, physically, if I'm fit, then external momos can be a good factor to arouse the happiness in me. Right? Momo per se is not happiness. If that is happiness, why not I experience happiness when I was sick? So this point, so this is a factor. It's not the happiness per se. Okay, one. Now number two is the internal factors. Internal factors. So external factors are there, internal factors are there, which means that although the external momo is there, but still I'm not getting this happiness because something's wrong with the internal physiology. There's something wrong with me, right? Okay. Now, in some cases, physical is so fit and fine. Me, on the other days, besides the 2 days, Tibet New Year, at school anniversary, on the other days, my body was perfectly fine, ready for momos, but no momos. So no happiness. So although they say internally it's fit and fine, but external factor is not coming. Because of that, I do not have the enjoyment of the moments. So the point that I'm saying is that the experience of happiness, experience of miseries, these two are to be seen as the resultant states. The resultant states which your mind experience, only your mind experiences. And these resultant states of happiness and pain, they arise from two factors. What two factors? External factors and internal factors. Okay, this is what we need to know. Now from this, which of the two factors is more important? And which of the two factors is something which you can really have a control over, right? You're getting it? So the external factors, okay, external factors, okay, you have the momos. Okay, it's very delicious, so nice. Next day also momo. Next day, third day also momo. Fourth day, fifth day. Then at one point you don't want to eat momos at all, right? It's very simple. So how many of you like momos? Okay, that's all of us, right? Okay. So which piece of the momo is more delicious? First piece or the 50th piece? First piece is good. Let's keep the first piece the last. First one, which is most delicious, we keep it last. We'll keep it, the most delicious one, we'll keep it last. And you eat the second one, third one, fourth one. Then after 20, maybe the girls, maybe like the 6, 7, then you go full. And the boys may still go for 20, 25, 30, right? Then the 40, you said, no, I'm done now, right? I said, no, this is your favorite, you have to eat it. This is your favorite, you have to eat it. Then you force, and then the 50th one, the first one, kept last, you eat it, it'll throw you up. Which means that momo per se is not happiness. Momo serves as a factor to give rise to happiness. You getting it? So the point is that external factors, which is a factor for happiness, can actually be a factor for unhappiness also, the same factor, right? Say, if a rotten momo, whether it's first or the 50th, is horrible. You don't want to eat it. But the fresh momo, the first one is delicious, 50th one is terrible. Right? So the rotten one, first, last, it is unconducive factor. Even the conducive factors, the first one can be very unconducive later on. So the point is, external factors, even external factors which are meant to give rise to happiness, may not necessarily give rise to 100% happiness. Right? It can serve as a cause for miseries. So keep this in mind. But it's not that all external factors are bad, so discard all the factors. No, our body is so heavily dependent on external factors. You getting it? Food. And for example, say temperature. So now the temperature is shooting up, we have to depend on the aircon, right? And likewise the water, we have to drink water much. Okay, so the external factors are important, but external factors cannot 100% give rise to happiness. What we seek is the happiness. We live in hopes and we hope for happiness. Don't forget it. Okay, now the question is, by dealing with the internal factors, when the internal factor is in your hand, so it's like the sound of a clap, which is the most common example which I give, sound of a clap, right? So the sound of a clap, which is analogous to the miseries. Or which is analogous, let's say the analogous to the miseries. So this sound of clap should necessarily come into being by the combination of the two hands. Likewise, sound of the clap, which is analogous to the miseries, should necessarily come into being by the combination of the two hands-like factors, external factors and the internal factors. And external factors, right, not reliable. And external factors, they are innumerable in number, right? Our lifetime is too short for us to acquire all the external factors, get into all the unconducive external factors, and gather all the conducive factors. Impossible. Even what we see as conducive factors, right? Say, if you move to a new house, I need a table, right? And then Divya brings one table for you. Then Teja also brings one table for you. And then Rebecca also brings one table for you. Professor Manish also brings one table for you. Everyone brings table for you, right? Then this is not a conducive factor. It's now what? Unconducive factor, right? You have no space. Right? Okay, so conducive factors, what we call as conducive, even they can become unconducive factors. And then unconducive factors, that is always a problem, right? AC is a conducive factor. It can go wrong. The moment it goes wrong, we cannot bear it. Then we have to do for the AC repair person. And the AC repair person will say, I'm on my way, right? But first you say, please come. You say, and he will say, yes, I'll come. I'll come in half an hour. So no, in 15 minutes. Yes, I'll come in 15 minutes. In 1 hour, still not come. Right? And you say, already 1 hour gone, I'm on my way. Actually, he's not on the way. He's still in different place there. Right? Then he says, already on the way. How long will it take? It'll take 5 minutes. Another 1 hour gone. And the whole day he will not come. You become so angry. Right? Okay. So you see that one is dependent on this, and then he will come on the bike, and the bike get some problem. Accident. Right? All these things happen one after the other. So the point is that external factors, they are totally unreliable. Okay, now with this, the point is that also two things. External factors somehow don't expect that the world to be perfect. Don't expect the world to be perfect, right? If you expect the world to be perfect, then you will have unending miseries. Because the moment you go into the world, there's always some imperfection here, there, here, there, here, there. You'll have unending problems. Whereas if you keep in mind that the world is imperfect, then from your side, right? So somebody asked His Holiness that you're always talking about compassion. But people take advantage of, if you're compassionate, people take advantage of compassion. And then you're the one who suffers. So how should I deal with this? So His Holiness says that when a mad dog comes, don't say compassion, run away. Right? We should be very realistic. This is the point. We should be very realistic. So the point is that the external factors, don't expect the external factors to be perfect. The world is imperfect. You are in the world of imperfection. One time, one of my friends called me and said, "Oh, it's so problematic nowadays. My sister, she joins the nursing college, and now I have to go to look for the house for her to stay, and I have to go there. It's very hot, and it's so problematic." Then I told her, "Fine, why are you helping her? Right? Why are you helping her? Who forced you to help her? Right? What do you want? You want Buddhahood or you want personal liberation? If you want personal liberation, don't stay in the world. Go to the Himalaya, right? So that you don't worry about your sister. Leave everything and go to Himalaya. Who forced you to stay in the community? Nobody forced you to stay in the community. The moment you stay in the community, then your sister will help you. You also have a responsibility to help her, right? So this is how it is. And particularly if you want Buddhahood, you have to help everyone, right? Let alone you helping your sister, you also help everyone, right? Then you say, yes, that's very true. Okay, so with this, what we need to keep in mind is of the two hands. External factors, try your best. Don't say the external factor is impossible, you cannot get rid of the external factors altogether, right? So therefore, don't just ignore all the external factors. This is not the point I'm saying. I'm saying try your best to rectify the external factors, but don't expect the external factors can be rectified completely, right? Try your best. For example, say the problems with the, burglars, meeting with the bad strangers and so forth. Take every precaution that you're not close to such people from your side. Is it that if you take precaution, then nothing will happen to you? We never know. The world is imperfect. But from your side, take every precaution. External matters, take care of that. Meanwhile, what you really want is, you want to get into miseries, right? And miseries is analogous to the sound of the clap. So for that matter, the sound of the clap comes into being goes with two hands. One hand, other hand. The first hand symbolizes the external factors, other hand symbolizes the internal factors, right? Of the two, external factors are there, you try your best to get rid of that, but it's impossible that you can get rid of fully, but try your best. So, although there's some external factors there, if you get rid of the internal factors, however strong, however forceful the external factor is, the sound stops. Finally, what you don't want is you don't want the sound of the miseries. Sound of the misery stops, even if external factors are very strong. So the point is, if you're wise, rather than worrying about the result, take care of the causes. Of the causes, external, internal, try your best to get rid of the external factors, and meanwhile, internal, try to control the internal factor. Internal factor, everything is your 100% is in your hand. You can control this fully. External factor, even the Buddha could not do it. Jesus Christ could not do it. Mahavir could not do it. And the Mahoda could not do it. And Prophet Muhammad could not do it. And Ram could not do it. right? External factors. Even these great enlightened saints, they could not get into the external factors fully, right? But internal factors, it is entirely in your hand. Of the two hands, one is 100% in your hands. You can remove this, right? And external factors, however strong, once the one is removed, the sound of the clamp automatically stops. Finally, what bothers you is not the hand, is the sound. So the sound stops. Sound of the misery stops. Okay. So with this, how to now, if the internal factor, what is that internal factor? Internal factor, there are two. One is the ignorance, and the other one is the self-centered attitude. Technically speaking, self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. These are the two internal factors. Get rid of these two, you will feel the magic, you will feel the wonder. It's amazing that, wow, I don't really have to tackle external things, right? External things, simply by common internal things, then everything happens, falls in place. Okay, say, one thing that I noticed with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, is that what I would call as enemies, what me as a very ordinary person, very unevolved person, would classify somebody as the enemy of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He has such a skill, right? He has such a skill, other person may not be really in favor of His Holiness. But two of them meet. In the process of meeting, he has such a skill and art and compassion that other person automatically becomes his friend. This is skill is amazing, right? So this is how he is able to do that. Is not through any other cunning way. It is through his expressing the deep compassion that the other person feels that, other person surrenders. For example, going back to the story of the Buddha Shakyamuni, Devadatta, the cousin brother of the Buddha Shakyamuni, he sent a mad elephant against the Buddha. And the elephant was just destroying everything, and he said all the people around, they started screaming, running away. And the Buddha sensed that the mad elephant is there. And the Buddha said, just calm down, don't run away. Don't move, don't run away, stay calm. And the Buddha went straight to the elephant, and the elephant subdued, surrendered. Right? It is not that the Buddha used his hook to tame the elephant. Simply the elephant felt his compassion, and external factor, elephant, very destructive, right? Was subdued. Okay, so this is how it happens. So once this internal change happens, this is equivalent to changing the external factors. Finally, what are you bothered by? You're bothered by the sound of the miseries. And the sound of the miseries stop when whichever of the two hands the stops, the sound of misery stops. Okay, this is so important. And after learning this method, the point is how much you practice it. If you practice it, imitate. As I said earlier, I want to earlier. It will take time. Don't expect that you learn it, you apply it, and then in one month time, you experience the one hand is already going down. Don't expect that. But without doing this, it will never happen automatically. Right? External factors, forget about each one of us. Even to the enlightened beings, external factors did not stop. Right? But what can surely happen is that we can become the enlightened beings ourselves by removing the internal factors. For the internal factors to be removed, it is only through knowing it and practicing it. Only through knowing it and practicing it. And some practices you can accomplish it. For example, say making food. You learn how to prepare food, and in 2 days, 3 days time, right? The result is very evident. And learning cycle, it may take 1 or 2 days. And learning mathematics will take you years and years, right? And learning to become a Nobel laureate in physics will take you 30, 40, 50, 60 years. So therefore, the time factor is also there. So now the point is that if we don't practice it, oh, it's a very tedious thing. It is, it doesn't really bear fruit. I practiced for the last 2 months. People practice for years and years, 20, 30 years, right? And I practiced for the last 2 weeks. In some cases, I set for a retreat, for 2-day retreat. It did not happen, right? And this practice, the experience did not come. Don't expect that. The point is, if you do it, don't do it, it's up to you, right? And if you really want the miseries to stop within you, this is the only way. This is the only way, by practicing it. By practicing, even if it takes long, right? This is the only way. Okay, but what I would say, if you're very serious with this practice, I can tell you that although to have the full experience, it will take time, but to really get to the summit of Mount Everest, it may take time. It's quite a journey. But to see Mount Everest, you don't have to be really there. From distance, you can see Mount Everest. Likewise, if you do a little bit of practice, from there you could see, like seeing Mount Everest from the distance, you can see, wow, it's amazing, right? Now I can see that if I practice more, then the internal factors are under control, and because of which the external factor, however forceful the external factors are, my miseries will stop. I can really see that. Okay, this is very important. Now, for that matter, this practice of compassion, the practice to eliminate two internal factors. Two internal factors, also referred to as 2 demons inside, right? Okay. How many of you sometimes say you bang against the wall, or you bang against the wall, or say you trip, right? It happened to how many of us here in your life? Tripping or banging against something. Ajirji, how many times? Okay, so how many of you, it never happened to, how many of you are there where such thing never happened? Huh? Wow. Okay. Did you ever bang against a mirror? No. Wonderful. Okay. Did bad dreams happen to you? Yeah. Okay, something bad happened to you. Okay, so something bad happened. How many of you had something bad in your life? Something bad, experience, whatever. Huh? Deshanla? No? Huh? Okay, yes. Let's say, when that something bad happened to you, right? Particularly, may not be nowadays. Now we are all matured. I don't know what maturity. Physically, we are matured. Yeah, of course, that's for sure. Physically mature. Yeah. Now the question is, so when you were young, age, say 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, when something bad happened to you, right? The blame goes to yourself or to the external? Huh? External. So anything bad happens, even nowadays, anything bad happens, the blame goes to yourself or towards outside? Outside, including myself. I remember myself when I was very young, right? When I was very young, say the glass falls, right? And the glass breaks, and sorry, your name? Yash. Yash is nearby. He's an unfortunate guy. It's because of Yash there that it fell. My glass fell. Right? It's totally unrelated. Still the blame goes to Yash. right? Actually, it's my hand, simply it hit and it fell. It did not happen till now, because yesterday it happened, right? Always we are so expert in blaming outside. But in blaming outside, does it help you? Does it help you remove your problem? If it helps, do it, it's fine. But it never helps to remove your problems, right? Because it does not really help to remove your problems. See what can really help to remove your problem, right? Okay, so what makes you point your finger outside? You don't want to put your finger inside. What makes you not put your finger inside? Self-centered attitude. This is the one. This is the one which actually makes you unhappy, right? Okay, this is so important. So two demons inside: self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. For self-grasping, to remove this, self-grasping ignorance, the counter forces, wisdom of emptiness. We have to introduce wisdom of emptiness. So in this class, we don't discuss on this wisdom of emptiness particularly, so we'll discuss separately. Now the self-centered attitude, this is so vicious, right? Okay, so when somebody is little unfair towards you, right, we feel very sad, we feel this person's so rude to me, so unfair, right? So there, what is actually happening is, why I bother so much? Because of the self-centered attitude. So this self-centered attitude comes in the facade of helping you, supporting you, guarding you. Yes, no? It's amazing, this self-centered attitude. No! Who asked you to say no? Self-centered attitude, right? So this self-centered attitude, it comes in the facade of guarding you, saving you. And then you say no. I say no to Yash. And then I say no to Tejala. And then I say no to each one of you. Then how many no's are collected? So many no's are accumulated. More than no's accumulated, you go into depression, right? Say this is the degree, beyond this is depression. Say police say no, it falls down, you go into depression, right? Do you want this? Do you want to go into depression? No, we don't want to go into depression. What makes us, okay, keep this in mind. This is always a warning that I'm giving. When depression happens, it doesn't mean that all those who go into depression, they are very selfish. This is not the connotation. Always keep this in mind. Otherwise, we may get a very wrong impression. Depression can happen for several reasons. One is purely biological, genetic. Purely biological and genetic, which you inherited from your parents, right? Small factors can trigger the hormonal changes within you. Just small factors can trigger the hormonal changes within you, and this can have a very adverse effect on emotional state, and which is depression actually. And others could be because of the environment very adverse, say the situation of the trauma and so forth, right? And this happens quite repeatedly. It happens. So it leaves a very bad imprint in the mind, memory in the mind, post-traumatic experiences, right? And then any small trigger happens, that past memory can easily be triggered, retrieved, and go into depression. So there are many factors, right? Okay. So therefore, when you speak about the depression, it's not talking about other people, it's talking about us, yourself, me, Dorji. Likewise, we have to relate to ourselves. Other person, we never know why the other person will depression. Could be because of the other factors, right? For yourself. So the point is that the self-centered attitude is one demon within us, which makes us so vulnerable, which gives us all the miseries are attracted by the self-centered attitude. And self-centered attitude is what Albert Einstein, he said, as the one which allows, or which does not allow you to practice love and affection towards the wider circle of the humanity, right? It stops you from practicing compassion towards the wider circle of the humanity. It simply makes you to have compassion towards a very small circle of your innermost circle, and towards the others, no compassion. Which means they become, when you don't show compassion towards others, others will not like you. If others will not like you, then you are imprisoned. You're imprisoned. You're put in a place, right? The more you dislike others, the more the others dislike you, your area of the flexibility becomes smaller, smaller, smaller. Which means you are encaged, you are imprisoned, right? So you go to this person, unhappy. This person, unhappy. Which means that you feel yourself so congested. You feel yourself so congested. This is the meaning of the prison. What is the meaning of prison? Prison means you put in a place where you don't have freedom to move around. So here you cannot move. But this person, your mind is restricted. There's a barrier there. So we see that self-centered attitude is one which creates a prison for you. You're getting it? And this prison, mentally you could feel the congestion. So if somebody binds you with the rope like this, right? And you feel congested. Who actually feels congestion? Your mind feels congestion. And so when you see, okay, how many of you have that experience? This person is also, okay, at one point in your life, even your mother is also, you have a problem with your mother, you have a problem with your father, with your problem with the brother or sister, you have a problem with the neighbor, you have a problem with your classmate, you have a problem with your deskmate, you have a problem with this. Everyone you have a problem. Okay, how many such things happened to you or not? At one point, not always. I know you are not that kind of person. Sometimes it happens, right? Okay, that happens sometimes. Okay, so under such situation, we see that I cannot talk to any person nowadays with the mobile. To whom should I talk, right? No one, right? Okay, so the point is that it is like imprisoning ourselves. This is meaning of the imprisonment. And you feel so suffocated. When that happens, you feel so suffocated. Okay, now, how to release yourself of this suffocation, right? So what makes you suffocated is theoretically, which one? Self-centered attitude. Self-centered attitude. This is the one which suffocates us. Now the next is how to get rid of this, right? How to get rid of this. Okay, so to get rid of this, the Buddha Shakyamuni, 2,500 years ago, he taught how to get rid of this, right? He taught multiple teachings, gave multiple teachings like this. And for us, see how relevant they are to us, how relevant they are. So this teaching, which Buddha gave to counteract the self-centered attitude, right? Self-centered attitude. For this, all the teachings on this, we now see that they can be grouped into two sets of the discourses. One, the method, sevenfold cause-effect method, and the other one is known as the method of equalizing and exchange of self for others. Okay, these are the two methods. And these two, both methods are so precious, so precious. So precious in what way? To practice them, not just to so precious and keep them in the book, right? Okay, so precious that we have to practice them. Okay, say the medicines, you have suffering from tuberculosis, these medicines, fine, I've got this medicine. Okay, you wouldn't believe today it's so easy to get the tuberculosis medicines. I think about like 40 years ago, this is a real story. 40 years ago, there was a monk, and he was going through what do you call it? Anyone nurse or doctor? Anyone? No? Okay. it was what do you call it, third line. In those like 40 years ago, it was a third line tuberculosis, right? Which means no medicines in India. No medicines in India 40 years ago, right? Perhaps 4 or 5 years ago, 40 years ago. And then this monk already decided that he was going to die. He was going to die shortly. And then whatever little that he had, he made offerings to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to the monastery, like this. He made all offerings. And he was just waiting for his death. Yeah? And then it so happened that there was the roommate, that he had a roommate, another monk. And the other monk happened to eventually they moved to Japan to run a center there. And because two of them, it was not really like proper roommate. He happened to come from South India to receive teachings from His Holiness. And then as they say, you get the Institute Buddhist directors so kindly entertained people who say we don't have rooms. They would allocate, put them in amongst some other rooms like this. So he bumped into this room where the other monk who was already there happened to go to Japan in a few months. Then somehow he was being helped by many respected Tibetans, respected, knowledgeable Tibetans, and they were exploring where they can get medicines. They all get the same answer that in India this medicine is not available. Then they would answer that, they explored more and more, they would answer that yes, the medicine was once produced in Japan. Once produced in Japan, now stopped. Right? Because in Japan, the tuberculosis is third line. So nobody was there to buy it. So the company stopped. And got a message that if he were to buy the medicine from this company, he has to buy medicine for like 500 people. Right? For 500 people. Otherwise the company will not produce that. Just for him. Okay. So how do you do that? Right? And in the first place, which company? Where? And it was not today. Today is very convenient, right? Email, WhatsApp, and younger ones, Instagram, right? Okay, in those days, no. You send one mail, you have to write it. One mail, it'll take 1 month. Right? No, 15 days there, and 3-4 days there. Lucky if the person takes care of reading your mail, and 15 days back. This was the situation. And finally, somehow, I don't know how, this monk happened to go to Japan, and he happened to inquire the place there, and somehow out of compassion, humanitarian ground, the company also produced medicine for him, and he's still out. He's still living now. He still survived. Yeah. Okay. Why I said this? Huh?
That you have to practice Bodhicitta, and you gave example of medicine, that which you should not just leave the medicine.
So not only the knowledge but the practice of having the medicine.
Okay. No, in what context?
Medicines need to be taken regularly. These two methods are precious because they have to practice.
Okay, thank you, Ajirji. Thank you, Ajirji. Okay, Ajirji, make sure that you're always with me. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so the point is that this is so precious. Medicine is so precious. Or then the medicine you lock that up in the safe. Right? It's so precious. And then you suffer from tuberculosis, you don't take medicine. It's so precious to be there in the locker. No, it's precious means there are some things to be locked in, some things to be taken. So just as medicines, because it's so precious, meant for taking. Likewise, these two methods are so precious for us to practice. If you don't practice them, no point. We'll never reap the benefit. Okay, so the two methods were taught by the Buddha. One is the sevenfold cause-effect method, and the other one is equalizing and exchanging method. The method of equalizing and exchanging self for others. Okay, the two methods are there. And these two methods, what I would say is, first of all, we must try to gain conviction in the efficacy of these two methods. That these two methods make sense. This one must be convinced. This is so important. Once that is convinced, this medicine will really will help to remove my tuberculosis. After gaining the conviction, then you must take it, right? Okay, if you don't take it, finally you take it, not take it, is up to the individual, right? If you want to reap the benefit, if you don't want to suffering, then you have to practice it, right? If you don't want the self-centered attitude to torture you more, then you have to practice it. Otherwise, it will continue to torture us. Self-centered attitude. How the self-centered attitude tortures us is just terrible, amazing. It's so vicious, right? If we don't practice them, we will never get the feeling that the self-centered attitude is so vicious. We'll never get this feeling. We start practicing it, we start to feel how difficult it is to overcome this. Without overcoming this, I'm constantly being burned by the self-centered attitude, constantly being tortured by self-centered attitude, right? And practicing it, you see how difficult it is to remove that, right? Then you start to realize that this self-centered attitude is so vicious. Okay, this is how we should proceed. So this teaching, the method of equalizing and exchanging self others. So this is the Buddha taught and inherited by Arya Manjushri, and from Arya Manjushri transmitted to Arya Nagarjuna, and then down the great teachers, and eventually to the 8th century great the Bodhisattva Shantideva. Then in the 11th century, Lama Selingpa, or also referred to as the Acharya Dharmakirti. So in the history of the Nalanda Buddhism, Acharya Dharmakirti, there are two. Lama Dharmakirti and Acharya Dharmakirti, two. Acharya Dharmakirti is the 7th century great philosopher and logician, and Lama Dharmakirti, also referred to as Lama Selingpa. Selingpa means Indonesia. Not whole Indonesia, the part of the Indonesia which is Sel is the gold. Sauna something. Sauna Bhumi. Swarna Bhumi. So is the Selingpa, the land of the gold, right? So Lama Selingpa. And his real name, one of his real names is Dharmakirti. Okay, so Lama Selingpa, 11th century. From Lama Selingpa, then Lama Atishadevangar Shirikyana, then he brought it to Tibet in the 11th century. And then this is how we got the tradition so alive till today. So in fact, I would say that the Buddhism went to Tibet. It was a great gift for the world. It was a great gift for the world. Not because that the Tibetans are special. It so happened that in Tibet, in those days, it was like a clean slate. You understand what a clean slate means? That it did not really have its own culture as much. Only culture that Tibet had was the Bon religion. And Bon religion was not really sophisticated. Now it's very sophisticated. Now it is very sophisticated because with the more like a competition from Buddhism there, a new religion coming in the air, becoming so popular, Bon religion also had to survive. To survive, they have to cater whatever Buddhism provides, they also should be able to cater the audience. So whatever Buddhism had, they also have to introduce whatever. I don't want to go into detail on that area, but the thing is that Bon today is very sophisticated. In those days, I would say that not as sophisticated. Because of which the cloth is very clean. Because the cloth is very clean, even the language you wouldn't believe. The language, Tibetan, the language, script, the letters, the alphabets, they were all invented to cater to the translation of the Buddhist texts, Buddhist philosophy texts. So that even the language is designed for that, just for this purpose, for the translation of the Buddhist philosophy. Whereas the Chinese Mandarin, Chinese was already a very sophisticated culture then. Buddhism from Nalanda, Buddhism from India first traveled to Sri Lanka, then to the Burma, the Thailand, Cambodia, and so forth. There was in like, say, the BC, Ashoka's time, King Ashoka's time, in the BC. Then in second century AD, 3rd century AD, Buddhism traveled to China from Nalanda. That is Mahayana Buddhism. Buddhism which from King Ashoka's time traveled to Sri Lanka and these places was the Theravada Buddhism. Is the Theravada Buddhism. Which traveled to China was the Mahayana Buddhism from Nalanda. That was in 2nd, 3rd, 4th century. Then in 7th century, Buddhism traveled to Tibet. And particularly in the 8th century, Buddhism started to take root in Tibet. Right? So that way, the system, whatever was there in Sanskrit tradition, it was almost identically replicated in Tibet. It's amazingly done. Right? Now, we come aboard with all these books, right? The translations are there, and then the translations, somebody who has no exposure to Buddhism reads it, will not really get the same flavor as what was originally intended, and so forth. You're getting it? So therefore, this is a great gift. Now the point is, the Lama Adisha Devangara Shri Gyana, he brought this teaching on the bodhicitta to Tibet. From there, then from 11th century down, it was maintained so pure, right? And so we get from His Holiness the Dalai Lama today, we get it so pure now. Okay, so that is the method of equalizing exchanges of others. And the other method, the sevenfold cause-effect method. Sevenfold cause-effect method. This was again taught by the Buddha Shakyamuni and then transmitted to Arya Maitreya. Then Arya Maitreya, he transmitted it to Arya Asanga. Then Arya Asanga's brother, Acharya Vasubandhu. Then again, it goes down. Then finally to, say, the Lama Selingpa, then to Adisha Devangara Shri Gyana. So this is how we. So, in fact, Lama Selingpa and Adisha Devangara Shri Gyana, the two of them were the points of the confluence of the two traditions. Confluence of two traditions happened at the time of Lama Selingpa and Lama Adisha Devangara Shri Gyana. Okay, this is what. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the method of equalizing and exchanging self-others first. We're going to do that. Okay, so the point is, to the best you can, say the you. Okay. Yes. Okay. Today we will just enumerate the points. The points under this, the method of equalizing and exchanging self-others. Okay. Now, then what I will explain each one of these steps later on, the next class, right? So I will suggest you to make sure that all these steps are on your fingertips next time when you come, right? Okay. So when you practice it, if you have these steps, for example, in Tibetan, it is Dakshin Nyamba, the first one, Dakshin Nyamba. And number 2 is Rang Chinzing Kyun Go to Megun Samba. Number 3 is Shen Chinzing Yun Go to Megun Samba. Number 4 is Yingji Mubase Dutun Limba. Number 5 is Chambe Mubase Dutun Tomwa. Number 6 is Dakshin Jewa. Number 7 is Haksam No, number 7 is the Chinten Khabarwa. Number 8 is Hasam. Number 9 is Simke Bodhicitta. So these say the steps, just see if you have them on your fingertips. If you have them on the fingertips, then every time you practice it, you don't have to open the books and open the books, not finding the page correctly, right? It makes you, okay, it's problematic, keep it there, okay, I'll do the short way. Then, and these are problems. So if you have these on fingertips, then it's very easy. You just sit down. You don't have to be, that you should not be bothered to look at the book and just follow the steps, reflecting. Okay, so the 7th point, there are 9 steps. 9 steps. Okay, which page is that? 301. 301. Okay. Okay. 301. The 9 steps, right? 9 steps. I would suggest you to remember them the next time on your fingertips. The first one is equalizing self and others. Equalizing self and others. Then number 2 is reflecting on the demerits of cherishing oneself. Did you find it? Did you find this? Number 3 is reflecting on the merits of cherishing others. Then number 4 is the practice of taking the suffering of others with emphasis on compassion. Practice of taking the suffering of others with emphasis on the compassion. The next one is the practice of giving your happiness to others with the emphasis on the practice of loving kindness. The next one is the actual exchange of self and others. Then the next one is special recollection of the kindness of others. And the next one is altruism. Finally, bodhicitta. Okay, so these steps should not be altered. These must be in this sequence. There's a great reason there. And okay, so I would suggest that if you really practice this, it may take some time. It may take some time, but you will feel the experience. You will feel the difference, right? For sure. Okay, for sure. And some of you might, I'm not too sure about the younger ones, but the younger ones, we never know. You have your own past, propensities. But for me, as a natural evolution to discover the workings on a very subtle the way with the time factor involved. So that was what was more natural coming out of catching up with the age. Out of catching up with the age, I started to feel in my 40s. But theoretically, which I learned, and then to the best I can with my, the best of my, the intention, best of my, the attempts. It started way earlier, but out of the age and seeing the things in the environment around. So this happened around age 40. The point is that there is a time factor involved, right? For changes happening, any change happening, there's a time factor involved. And these changes are just dependent on the originator. What the cause is, that will determine the result, right? Okay. In fact, there's an English expression which says that every action leaves a signature. You heard about it? Every action of yours leaves a signature, which means it leaves an imprint in your mind. It's amazing. One, it was taught in is one of the crux of the Buddhist philosophy. Then number 2, with just observing the world. Number 3, seeing this statement, seeing this, what do you call it, expression, right? Expression. I was so fascinated. This is not purely Buddhistic. It is there as common sense knowledge, which was already discovered by the people who wrote this. Every action leaves a signature. Who wrote this or who said it? That person must have been, I cannot really say for sure, but somebody who must be around age 40, 50, 60, 70s, who first said it, right? It's an amazing piece of wisdom. It's amazing. And they say, how many of you are convinced with this, that every action leaves a signature? Okay, so the younger ones, you raise hands. It's amazing. I'm so happy, right? You don't wait till 40s, right? Okay. Now with this, what happens if you really understood it, if you really experientially understood it, you will never be impatient. You're getting it? Oh no, this is not happening, I did it, this is not happening, which means that you're not convinced by this. Every action leaves signature. You're not convinced with that, even though you think, right? Okay, this you check, all of us, even if you are in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, just check this, that sometimes, no, it is not happening this way, I did like this, it is not happening. If ever you feel impatient, which means that you are not convinced by this statement. What is the statement? Every action leaves a signature. This is so important. If you're really convinced with this, no matter how long it takes, you are very patient and you will keep pursuing what you're doing. Okay, right? Okay, so we will do the explanation the next class. Before we wind up, any questions thus far? Any questions thus far? And meanwhile, keep in mind that what we're going to learn, we try to gain conviction in what we, intellectually should be convinced, right? Oh yeah, that's true. So as long as I don't do this practice, I will never find happiness. If I do this practice, I will have happiness, and the one which really disrupts my happiness is the self-centered attitude, the demons inside. Right? So this conviction, one must gain this conviction. Anyone? Very quick. Yes, Rimpila.
What is the benefit of practicing full immersion?
What is the benefit of the practicing the 4 immeasurables?
The difference between bodhicitta practice and
Okay, this is a good question. What is the benefit of practicing what is technically known as the 4 immeasurables? Immeasurable compassion, immeasurable loving kindness, immeasurable joy, immeasurable equanimity. 4. So these 4, all four come under the main category of the unconditional love, or feeling of love and affection with others. Okay. Bodhicitta is a very precise, the very specialized version of love and affection, right? With a specific goal. Say these four are more like aspiration. May beings have no suffering. How are we going to do this? You have no answer yet. May beings have happiness. May beings have no suffering. But who's going to do it? Oh, I never thought about it. Right? Okay, I will do it. Then with the 4 immeasurables, then next comes the, who will do it? Responsibility. Then altruism. I will do it. How are you going to do it? By becoming the full enlightened, by awakening myself. That is the bodhicitta, very specialized version. Okay, so what bodhicitta is, these things, we will discuss in the next class. Very good question. Any more question? Anyone? Badriji? Yes, Pushkarji, then Badriji.
You gave the example of His Holiness. He says if mad dog is coming to you, just run away. That is extreme. But somewhere you find like in the staff, in your colleague, or maybe with your friend, or maybe with your family, where you are bound to live with them because you have to work with them.
Yes, yes.
So if any person is there who are not that extreme, but so how?
So you have to be with that person, and the person is very complicated, so you cannot leave. So how do you do that? Okay. Are you talking about someone? No. Okay. Okay, lucky, I'm happy. Okay. So under such situation, what should we do? This is a very serious question. Very serious question, right? Okay. Okay. So we may ask Professor Manakshi or okay, to be very direct, it is, say, the one point is that oftentimes which means that there's a clash happening between two people, right? If this clash can happen for several reasons. One, because two of you don't understand each other well. You don't know each other well, right? And for example, say we always meet in the same workplace, and then I always greet you, and today I do not greet you, right? And then you greet me, still I don't respond, and then you may know, what happened? What did I do? I didn't do anything bad to him. Why he's upset? Maybe, right? I must have heard a very tragic news that my father passed away. Something happened, and mentally I was not really ready to come for the job, but I have to come, right? So mentally I'm so drained, I'm so sad, upset, right? So I did not have any mood to respond to anything positive to others. And I'm a very weak person, right? Then I can easily be swayed by the mood swing, right? Okay, under such situation, you can't expect me to give you a good response. Whereas, for example, your parents, your brothers, sisters, right? They, no matter what happened to them, still they're being so kind to you and so forth. So you expect the whole world to be like your brothers, sisters, right? Now there's a person who did not behave like, which means that he is a very unkind person. This impression that you get. This impression is not a valid impression. It's because of grounded on your superimposition. You superimpose how your sister and your brother behave to you, right? That you superimpose on somebody else whose thing is very different. Your brother and sister may be very strong in that way. I may be so weak in that way. I cannot behave the way you want. The moment my mood is disrupted, I behave accordingly, right? So therefore, you do not know me so well. So one thing is that you have to know each other so well. One. And then many problems can be solved. Many problems can be solved if you know the other person so well. Other person may not be mistreating you. It could be simply because of the factors. Now the other one is, other person is deliberately trying to destroy you. Deliberately trying to destroy you, being unkind towards you, right? Okay, under such situation, what should we do, right? Now check if the person is being unkind towards just you or with all the other colleagues. If it's with all the other colleagues, problem with all the other colleagues, right, then this person will not last long. Because it's not just you. If it's not just you, then you just take yourself on a safe place, right, or keep a little distance from that person, and somehow the person cannot fit well in this group. And if there is a possibility, you see this problem, see if there's a possibility by which you can be friend with that person and give the warning to the person that okay, these things can happen. So say, in what way I can be of help to you, I can help you, right? So, but because if the whole people, all the members, they become uncomfortable with you, then you may face difficulty, right? So you can kind and see how you can change the person. If this is impossible, then keep a little distance. So run away. Does not mean really leave the workplace. Run away is metaphorical. For you, run away from that person by keeping a little distance. Keep a little distance and be cautious, Say, make sure that others say, hey, Pushkarji, what? How did he? No, just, hey, Pushkarji, okay, yes, you keep a little distance, right? Because it's not just to you. It's happening to everyone. You're getting it? This one. Whereas if somebody is just doing that thing just to you, not to others, then you have to explore why this person behaving like this, deliberately can't confess me. Because of what? You look for the reasons, right? Okay. Oftentimes, of course, these questions, they're very important. In the course of the classes, we have to deal with these questions. Oftentimes, the other person feels your compassion, genuine compassion, person surrenders. One. Number two, if the person is doing that just to you and not to others, if you realize that others are all others are street smart, and the person realizes that all others are street smart, and you are very exceptional, compassionate, other person mistakes your compassion for your weakness. If that happens, then the next step that you have to take is to maintain confidence, but to send a message to the other person that I'm not weak. What I'm doing this is out of my deliberate practice of compassion, not out of my weakness. So how do you have to send a message to him? How to send a message? Either directly, indirectly, or by silence. Sometimes by silence, it speaks the loudest. Right? The moment usually you smile, you meet the person, you smile, the person drops his pen, you pick up the pen. But the person thinks that, oh, he sees me as a very special person, so therefore he's very submissive to me. Next time the person feels that the pen falls, you just ignore this. The other person realizes, oh, this person is very strong. It's not weak, right? And then keep a little distance, but without losing your composure, without losing your confidence. Maintain confidence, no anger inside. With anger is a sign of weakness. The moment the anger arises, you cannot justify anger. The moment the anger arises, you are on the loser side, right? Never submit to anger, but maintain confidence. Maintain confidence, keep a little distance, right? Then you just observe the person's response to you. Response to you will change the response, right? Then the person will treat you like how the person treats others. The moment that happens, when the shift happens, then next time you get the person pen falls, again you help. Then this person will take that as a sign of your compassion, not as your weakness or submissive. Right? These are the skills that we have to acquire. Final point is never give in to anger. The moment you give in to anger, finish. No matter how vicious the other person is, how bad the other person is, you're also in the wrong side. No anger. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Badriji.
Geshe, I'm really happy to see you for so long. It really feels good to be back here.
Thank you.
I had some doubts regarding ignorance and the way it is classified. You've been speaking about how ignorance and classified into afflictive obscurations and cognitive obscurations. And whereas obscurations, they consist of afflictions, contaminated karma, and the active seeds of contaminated karma. And how cognitive obscurations consist of the seeds which are left, or subtle traces. Now we have another set of ignorance, which is self-grasping ignorance and self-cherishing attitude. Could you please help me organize these three things in terms of cause and effect, or larger subset and smaller subsets?
There are no three things.
Okay.
There are only two things in terms of the causes. So basically there are many more offshoots. One is the self-grasping ignorance, other one is self-centered attitude. These two come together, then all the contaminated, the afflictions arise. All afflictions, millions of afflictions are there. These afflictions give rise to contaminated karmas, right? So finally, everything boils down to self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. And the imprints, active seeds are there. Seeds are left by these two, and other also offshoots also leave their seeds. But we're talking about the final basis, final substratum. So that is the self-grasping ignorance and the self-centered attitude. So self-centered attitude, again, we just touched in a very generic sense. We did not go into the detail. Self-centered attitude, there are two. One which is blended with the ignorance, one which does not blend with the ignorance. And so these details will go later. For the time being, we just focus on these two. Self-grasping ignorance can be gone rid of by the wisdom of emptiness. Self-centered attitude can be gone rid of by the unconditional love, practice of unconditional love.
So would you call this the fundamental cause of all further ignorances?
In fact, what I would say is that self-grasping ignorance is the fundamental ignorance responsible for all other levels of ignorances. And self-centered attitude is the one which gives the life to this ignorance, which gives life. Say, he is unkind to me, she is unkind to me, I want this. All these, the active states, destructive states come into being because of the self-centered attitude. When that self-centered attitude, when that is missing, then this ignorance per se, it becomes like a very neutral state. Say, a beautiful picture, garden picture, and if the person is suffering from, if the person is in a coma state, right? Beautiful picture, no effect. A very ugly picture, no effect, right? So this, giving life to this is by the self-centered attitude.
Thank you. Thank you, Geshe.
Welcome. Okay, we'll quickly, is there anyone with a pressing question? Okay, there's one girl over there, yes.
Geshe, can you please tell your ways to overcome mood swing character in a person? How can he or she can overcome the mood swing character and attitude?
Okay, the mood swing characters. Mood swing, long term and short term. Short term, take medication. Right? Mood swing, if that is excessive, is acute, right? Either go for fMRI scan, brain surgery, or get medicines from the psychiatrist. If it is very severe, right? That is the immediate measure. And the long-term measure is the two methods for the practice of compassion. This is amazing. And the wisdom of emptiness, of course. Mood swing is related to both self-grasping, self-centered attitude, and is also genetic. As I said earlier, mood swing is not purely, not 100% the thinking. Thinking, genetic is also there. And then the environment. Environment for a long period in a very suffocating environment, mood swing can happen. And it can become a habit, right? Okay, so the point is that as we go down, as we do the two methods, then these questions must come up, right? Okay, we'll stop here. We'll do a quick dedication prayer. 278, page 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful charities, the Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are. Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may their wishes arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. Chanju sanju remboche, moje bonam ke gyoroche, ke wanyamba me baya, kone kondo pe maraisho. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I truly remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization, the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dharma and the teaching realization. May I know all lives through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of mind and vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect in the 2 stages. With the wish to free all beings to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. The power of union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protector of both the Dharma and the beings of the snowland. You are the lotus holder of Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans or non-humans who harbor malice with perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddha be truly vanquished through the path of the truth of the 3 jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths, and could attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may always be guided by Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even in the course of my life.